House Republicans have refused to move because an increasingly vocal pro-Russian, pro-Putin minority seems to be running the show within their ranks, a contingent that takes its marching orders directly from Donald Trump.
That, of course, was Senate Scare Leader Chuck Schumer earlier today, denouncing the House for not advancing the supplemental bill passed by the Senate, which includes funding for both Ukraine, Israel, and for Taiwan. Now, what Senator Schumer does not say is that he's been sitting on a measure for about 3 months that would provide essential funding to Israel. Of course, increasingly, we're finding in the Senate that the support for Israel is diminishing among Democrats. We're going to talk about that today as well. Before we go to our first guest, I want to go to Ben Johnson, Washington Stand reporter, on a new report showing that, a new study actually, that shows that transgender teens actually grow out of their dysphoria, their gender dysphoria, if they're simply given space. Ben, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Good to be with you as always, Tony.
So this is something that's been talked about for some time, but this new report verifies and validates what many have said, that they're rushing children into these gender treatment programs, trying to lock them into a period of time in which they're confused about their gender.
Yes, this is a wide-ranging study, and it's incredibly important because it follows the same people for 15 years of their life, from age 11 to age 26. More than 2,700 young people in the Netherlands, and 2,700 young people is a lot in the Netherlands because of the small population that they have. But they ask them at every 3-year interval their identity with an opposite gender. They find at age 11, it's fairly common. About 1 in 10 children say that they wish to identify with the opposite gender. So by the time they are age 26, 15 years later, that's fallen to 1 in 25. That is to say, 2 out of 3 immediately will cease to have any feelings of transgender ideology, gender dysphoria. That will simply go away if they are left untreated. However, we do know from studies, when someone starts on the path, on that trail to gender transition, almost 100% of people who are put on puberty blockers then go on to cross-sex hormones, and many of those ultimately go on to surgery. So the theory is that there's something about that process that locks people into a transgender ideology they wouldn't otherwise have.
Something more at work here than just the well-being of the children, obviously. Ben Johnson, thanks so much. Insightful study. We're going to unpack that more. I know there's some articles at the Washington Stand that you've written that provide more insight. As always, appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, Tony.